hope we pray for better days.
Hi, so this tutorial is on CSS, which is the next language after HTML. And CSS is purely a styling language, or actually scripting language. We use CSS to basically beautify your code, your HTML code. So I'd like to go through a few different points before we start actually demonstrating how CSS works in coding. So first thing first, the prerequisite would be HTML for beginners. So before watching this CSS tutorial, do make sure to watch my HTML for beginner tutorial so that you have a grasp of HTML. Second point would be CSS definition. So CSS stands for cascading style sheet, as you can see. And thirdly, CSS is a style sheet language used for describing the look and formatting of a document written in markup language, as I mentioned. Fourth, CSS can completely control how your web pages look without changing your HTML code. So you can write your HTML code and then apply the CSS to change the look of your HTML, but not the content of it, if that makes sense. And for analogy, think of CSS like making pizza. So having a plain pizza would be your HTML, and then to add toppings, flavors, and different way of cooking it would be CSS. So CSS makes your product look beautiful. So that analogy hopefully paints a picture of what CSS is, and we can go ahead and start coding. And I have a boilerplate here that I usually use, so we don't have to do a lot of HTML. All we have to do is CSS coding. I want to emphasize that there are several ways of doing CSS, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just gonna write my style in between the two style tags that we have, opening and closing tag. As you can see, these style tags go in between the heading sections. So before we begin, we have three types of styling. First one would be inline styling, where you can actually style inside your heading. For example, you can do style equals color blue, like so. Or so that would be the inline styling, which is not the best way to do it. Second way would be to include it within your heading section. So you open and close the styling tags here, and then you implement your styles here. And third and best way to style would be to actually write all of your styling within a different style sheet and give it the extension of .css. For example, you can name it styles.css, which is the most common way, and basically write all of your styles in that sheet, and then you would link your sheet in your HTML document, which I can show you that in the future tutorials. But for now, let's focus on the heading section of styling. So as you can see, I have a simple style here, and I just want to explain this how it works. So the way it works is you would identify you identify the element or the object that you want to style it using the ID, which is this ID here. So this heading has this ID of h1. So for heading, you always add the character hashtag and then the ID itself, and then there would be opening curly brackets and closing curly brackets, and between the curly brackets you add your parameter and your value. So this style is color, which is the color of your text, and then we're giving it a color blue. So let's see how it looks without this styling, and then we can also show you how it looks with the styling itself. So we're gonna actually save this and run this on browser and see how it looks. So as you can see, the first heading is quite plain. There is no style in it, so it's very plain and ugly looking. And in order to style it and make it beautiful and give it a color, we can go back to our code here and give it this style of color blue. We can save this and go back to our browser and refresh, and there you go, you have the blue color. So that's just the beginning, introduction of CSS, and in the next tutorials we can actually go ahead and take advantage of all the other styles and colors and also attributes, and make our document look beautiful. So that concludes our styling for today. I appreciate your time and effort as usual, and hopefully I will see you in HTML or CSS tutorial number 1.